Thanks for joining me on episode 375 of the Inspired Stewardship Podcast.
I challenge you to invest in yourself, invest in others, develop your influence, and impact the world by using your time, your talent, and your treasures to live out your calling. Having the ability to really find your gifts and calling is a key. And one way to be inspired to do that is to listen to this, the Inspired Stewardship Podcast by my friend Scott Mader.
But delayed gratification is so hard because the truth is, in today's society, we tend to reward everyone for have it now and have it all kind of mentality. We look at that and we say, that's how you should be. But the truth is, that's not the most powerful sense of being there is.
Welcome and thank you for joining us on the Inspired Stewardship Podcast. If you truly desire to become the person who God wants you to be, then you must learn to use your time, your talent, and your treasures for your true calling. In the Inspired Stewardship Podcast, you will learn to invest in yourself, invest in others, and develop your influence so that you can impact the world.
In today's episode about impacting the world through stewarding your treasures, I talk with you about delayed gratification and why it's a key to financial success. I talk about some of the benefits of delayed gratification and why delayed gratification is just so hard to do.
As we talk about stewarding your treasures, wouldn't it be great if you could support this podcast and do it without costing yourself an extra dime? Turns out you can. All you have to do is use inspiredstewardship.com/Amazon when you're ready to make a purchase via Amazon, and a small commission will come back to support the show. If you enjoy the show when you're ready to buy from Amazon, just use inspiredstewardship.com/Amazon.
On Tuesday's episode, where we were talking about one of those principles about discipline and focus, and I mentioned that it also applies to money, and I mentioned that today's principle that we're going to talk about with money also applies to time in a way. The principle I want to talk about is probably one of the most powerful principles for financial success, and honestly, just for success in general of any principle out there. It's something that most people don't even like to talk about or think about, though. And it's the idea of delayed gratification. Yeah, it's not really that sexy of a topic, but it's a powerful concept because delayed gratification is the key to financial success. And it's also the key to success in other ways too. It often is the single most powerful financial principle that you can buy into. And yet the truth is, the principle of delayed gratification is really, really hard. And the biggest reason it's hard is simply another form of the comparison effect. What happens here is this. Oftentimes we look around us and we see other people who have a new car or a big house or nice clothes or a shiny object of some sort, or maybe if it's not just monetary, maybe it's also that they have more followers than us, or they have a bigger tribe, or they've achieved some sort of success in some sort of business field or some sort of life field that we want to have. And we begin to compare ourselves to them. And we often immediately have this feeling of, I want it and I want it now. But the truth is, we often don't see what came in for them of the time and the energy and the effort that they spent to get that success. We think of it as an overnight success, but it really isn't. We compare ourselves to other, and that makes it really hard to have delayed gratification. That makes it really hard to recognize the idea that if you don't have it now, it's okay. In fact, it might even be better for you in the long term. Being able to not leverage your future income for pleasure today is a powerful principle, because the truth is that's how you not just make more and not just cut expenses, but you say yes to the important things, no to the things that aren't important, and increase the difference between what you make and what you spend, and then do something powerful with that difference. The truth is, there's nothing wrong with spending some money on pleasures. There's nothing wrong with investing money in yourself and training and knowledge. There's nothing wrong with spending some money sometimes on just something that's a reward for yourself. Nothing wrong with that at all. I get so tired of hearing from financial people that all they talk about is cut, cut, cut. Don't do this. Don't do this. Cut the expense, cut the expense, cut the expense. Live on beans and rice. Cut every pleasure out of your life. And you can't do that long term. You can do it for a short term to break a log jam and to make a huge, quick difference in your life. And I often advise people to do that. But in the long term, you still have to bring some of these things into your life. You have to reward yourself. You have to live your life. You have to have some pleasure and some fun. But there are benefits to being able to delay that gratification, to say no to yourself today so you can say yes to something bigger in the future. Things like, believe it or not, having the ability to delay gratification begins to develop your sense of confidence and control. You begin to recognize that you can pass up things, and it doesn't mean you'll never have them. All too often, what I hear from people is, if I don't do it now, I'll never be able to do it. It's the FOMO, the fear of missing out, or the you only live once kind of mentality. And the truth is, sure, there are things that maybe come around only once, but really and truly, they're a lot less often than you think. More often than not, that once-in-a-lifetime opportunity is just an opportunity right now, but something bigger and better, or even the exact same opportunity, will come back later. Using delayed gratification helps, believe it or not, bring up your joy, your happiness, and your sense of gratitude when you do the things that are really important to you, because you stop worrying and having guilt, another benefit, because of spending on things that really you didn't care about, and then not being able to spend on the things that were really important. Delayed gratification eases guilt and heightens your joy and your sense of gratitude. Delayed gratification also helps you develop a sense of resilience, a sense of being able to stand up for yourself and snap back to it and survive and recognize that what makes you you and what makes you valuable and what makes you important isn't the stuff you have. It's who you are and the relationships that you have. But delayed gratification is so hard, because the truth is, in today's society, we tend to reward everyone for have it now and have it all kind of mentality. We look at that and we say, that's how you should be. But the truth is, that's not the most powerful sense of being there is. There are things you can do to help you delay gratification, to help you develop the power of saying no to yourself. You can actually schedule rewards. You can put things into your plan that give you a regular sense of reward. Even when you're getting out of debt, identify milestones and give yourself rewards during those milestones, even if it's a small one. You can actually track and plan and track your progress against that plan so that you can recognize that this isn't a decision about forever. This is a decision about right now. You can find and focus on those things that are really, truly at the core of your being, the most valuable things to you. And you can say no to the things that aren't that important. One of the things I tell people when you're looking at a budget, when you're looking at a spending plan, is don't look at it as what you're saying no to. Don't look at it as what you're cutting. Look at it as what you're saying yes to. What are you allowing into your life because it's actually important and valuable and worth allowing in? That's what makes the list. The other things don't make the list, not because you're cutting them out, but because they really aren't that important in the scheme of things for who you are and what you want to achieve and what you value and what you believe in. So I encourage you to find ways to focus on what you're doing and think through, are you using the power of delayed gratification to build financial success. Thanks for listening.
Thanks so much for listening to the Inspired Stewardship Podcast. As a subscriber and listener, we challenge you to not just sit back and passively listen, but act on what you've heard and find a way to live your calling. If you like this episode on the stewardship of treasures, you can sign up for our treasures tips by going to inspiredstewardship.com/treasures or text in the U.S. 44222 treasures tips. And we'll send you 5 weeks of our best tips on stewarding your treasures. Until next time, invest your time, your talent, and your treasures. Develop your influence and impact the world.